Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ken Bone Zone. I am Ken Bone, and alongside me, rather than my normal partner, Josh Burkett, who could not be here with us today, is our editor and guest host, Jericho.
Hello.
How are you doing, Jericho?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I could not be better. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's actually raining extremely hard, so I don't have to go out and cut my grass.
It was raining here too. So.
Yeah, I'm in southern Illinois. Where are you located at, roughly?
I am in the northeastern part of Ohio.
Oh, cool. I've been there. There's not a lot there. There's not a lot here either.
There's not.
Cool place, though. Today we're recording episode number 30 of the Ken Bone Zone, milestone episode number 30, the first one that starts with a 3, and the first one without Josh in it. He unfortunately could not be with us. My wife and I had theater tickets for Thursday night. We went to see Phantom of the Opera and couldn't record, and that's our normal recording night. And Josh had family commitments he had to take care of the rest of the weekend. And so we're without him this week. Sorry, the handsomest part of the show is gone. But fortunately, it's replaced with the youth and vibrance of our young editor, Jericho. So thanks for being here. Since you don't know the audience yet,
thanks for the opportunity.
I'm happy to have you here. Now you get to do more than just edit my gigantic head into frame. You want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Like, where are you at politically? Or
I'm kind of just not part of any party. I'm like, I don't know. I really just kind of, I don't classify myself with either side because I don't really like the whole system, but I kind of just vote for who I think is the better option, I guess.
I respect that. The two-party system is horrifyingly broken and leads to a lot of political intrigue and hatred, and that's the way they want it. They want you to hate me, and they want me to hate you, because everybody needs a bad guy. And if politicians don't make us the bad guy, we are each other's bad guy, then we're liable to make them the bad guy and not vote for them anymore.
Good point.
That's why they do that. They do it on purpose, and they're really, really, really good at it. They make politics so toxic that you refuse to pay attention. And those that do pay attention just buy into the hatred. So that's not what we're about here at the Ken Bone Zone. We're all about love and peace and hugs and alcohol. Jericho not drinking today because you're not old enough to drink, are you?
1 more year, but not
oh my
quite.
Goodness, the voice of
water,
youth.
So.
Well, I'm not going to stop just because of you. You'll have to be influenced by
I wasn't expecting
alcoholism.
you to. I wasn't expecting you to.
Good man.
Yeah, I'm a college student. I'm studying for film, so editing is one of my skills and things that I like to do. I've also got a YouTube channel where I do another podcast. It's a bit less serious than yours. It's pretty much randomness and Nicolas Cage most of the time. So, yeah.
Well, turnabout is fair play. I'd be happy to be on your show anytime.
Awesome.
And Jericho does all of our editing for us. He's an excellent editor. If you need a student editor for any reason, or if you're in the film industry and you're hiring, definitely hit up Jericho Keene. We'll put up his Twitter handle in the description. He does a fantastic job, especially considering the fact that I do not pay him. But to be fair, I don't pay me either. I didn't just reach out and force a student to work for me for free.
No, I offered, so.
Good man. We love him so much. We'll go ahead and jump into the news now. Holy crap. I tried to find some feel-good news for this week, and there weren't any. There's just...
Of course not.
It's all crap. It's all crap, folks. Thus the alcohol. Top of the list here, we have the U.S. Embassy is now in Jerusalem. So for those of you who have been following the story, you might be shocked to learn that the capital of Israel is Jerusalem. Apparently, all the embassies used to be in Tel Aviv. And now the U.S. has moved our embassy to Jerusalem. Of course, the Senate voted overwhelmingly in favor of doing this, and now they're telling President Trump that he's evil for doing it. Now, I don't think President Trump is evil. I do think he's dumb and he's not that great at his job. I don't think he's evil.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily disagree with this move, because this is what the Congress wanted, and now that they're getting it, they're angry. Well, Congress sucks at their job, and maybe now you can hold them accountable. If they don't want things like this to happen, maybe they shouldn't vote for them. They were banking on the fact that the president would puss out and not move the embassy like the last 4 presidents in a row have done. And then Trump's like, whatever, I do what I want, I'm Donald Trump. That's his thing. That's what he does. So he followed the wishes of Congress for once, and he's not the bad guy here. Congress is the bad guy. You don't like it? Vote for somebody else in the coming midterms. In fact, if you do like it, vote for somebody else anyway, because Congress sucks big time. They are terrible, and I hate them all. But thanks in part to the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem, there was another clash on the border with the Gaza Strip. Now, Israel vacated the Gaza Strip a little over 10 years ago. They said, you know what, we're washing our hands of it. We don't want anything to do with the Gaza Strip anymore. Palestinians, you can keep it. The unfortunate thing is that very little will grow in the Gaza Strip. It's a very small and not very arable piece of land. And so they don't have things like food, medicine, infrastructure, stuff like that. There's only two ways these things can get in. They can get in by, air or sea transport, which is completely controlled by the Israelis, or they can get in overland. And overland, about 3/4 of that is controlled by Israel, and the other quarter controlled by Egypt. Egypt, it should be noted here, doesn't treat the Gaza Strip very well either. They are not doing their part to help. If I was Palestinian, rather than risking getting shot going up against the border with Israel proper, I would probably go and protest on the Egyptian border, draw a little attention there. The rest of the Arab world might actually be able to pressure Egypt into helping. They're certainly not going to be able to politically pressure Israel into helping, because Israel doesn't give a damn what the whole rest of the Middle East thinks. Prove that time and time again. So it's very unfortunate that about 60 people have been killed in this border clash. Some of the blame rests with the Israelis, but as I've said before on the show, I'm very pro-Israel. I tend to back them and say that they have a right to defend themselves. I wish that they had used more tear gas and less bullets, but I wasn't there. I don't know how bad it was. All I see is pictures of burning tires and Molotov cocktails and stuff coming across the border fence. Hamas does this on purpose. Hamas is the leadership in the Gaza Strip. They were actually elected, and they're considered a terrorist organization by most first world countries. So I understand voting for them, because when they say, like, hey, vote for us or we'll burn your house down, you end up voting for them. But then you have terrorists for leadership. It's a terrible situation living in Palestine, and I don't have any easy solutions for them other than please, please, please do not go to protests where people are setting stuff on fire. It's the same advice that I had for people in Charlottesville. Like, if you really love Confederate statues or what the hell ever, so you're going to show up to a protest in Charlottesville. Well, when the Tiki Torch guys show up and start chanting about white power, it's time to go home. You don't want to be associated with those jackasses. Like, well, we really love Stonewall Jackson. Too bad. Your protest is over. You're going to have to organize another one for tomorrow night, because now the white power people are here and they've ruined it for everyone. It's unfortunate that the same thing's now happening in Gaza. That there's a lot of good people protesting for legitimate reasons, like, hey, we don't have food, we don't have water, we don't have medicine. And then Hamas shows up and starts lighting stuff on fire and throwing Molotov cocktails at soldiers. It's time to go home. And I feel so bad for the people caught in the crossfire, but I don't know what else to tell them. Like, I can't solve anything over the Middle East. Nobody really can. All I can tell you is please stay away from potentially violent situations like that. And Israel, please don't shoot anybody you don't have to shoot. I know you're trying to show restraint, but there's 60 dead people. So you got to be better. I support Israel. I like Israel, but you got to do better. Anyway, in a show of support for the U.S., Guatemala has also moved their embassy to Jerusalem. So now there's two embassies in Jerusalem. There's the U.S. embassy, and then there's the Guatemalan embassy. There weren't as many celebrations and people being as happy in front of the Guatemalan embassy. Let's step in the right direction. If everybody moved their embassy to Jerusalem, it wouldn't be worth protesting over anymore. Anyway, what are you going to do? If the Germans and the English and everybody else want to leave theirs in Tel Aviv, I guess we'll have to deal with it. Let's see, the last Gaza border war would have been when Jericho here was about 9 years old. So I don't know how much of that you saw in the news.
I don't remember anything past like last year, so.
Yeah. That was when the Israelis basically said, we don't want Gaza anymore. Taking care of the Gaza Strip is hard, and so we're going to leave. And a lot of people who favor the two-state solution, which is like the Palestinians should get to have their own country and call it Palestine, they envision Gaza being part of that country. But right now, nobody really wants Gaza except for Hamas. Even the people that live there don't want it because it sucks there. You can't hardly grow food. You can't do anything. There's no hospitals, no roads. There's nothing for you there, and you got nowhere to go. So we already know what Israel's going to do. Israel's going to shoot people that try to get over the border without permission. So I think the international community needs to start pressuring Egypt a little bit more. Take in some of these Palestinian refugees. I know they're not necessarily like your brothers, because there are hundreds of different people groups in the Middle East. It's not like Egyptians and Palestinians are, cousins or anything. But I think it'd be a little bit easier to get Egypt to start taking people in or sending aid in than it's going to be to get Israel. We already know what Israel is going to do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to keep beating our head against the wall, trying to get Israel to act against its nature and possibly against its own interest, and condemning them when they won't do it. Anyway, let's talk about something more fun than Israel and Palestine. Let's talk about North and South Korea. That's fun. North Korea is a great place. So North Korea was supposed to send folks to do these high-level talks with South Korea. They were going to talk some more peace and broker some more solutions, and then they didn't. So the United States and South Korea, they're running joint military operations, like exercises or war games together. And North Koreans looked at this and said, "Hey, you're practicing for a war with us. You can't do that. So we're not going to show up to these talks." And they said this the day before. And so the South Koreans and the Americans are both looking like, "But we told you we were going to do this like a month ago. This was scheduled. You knew about it. You're just using this to grandstand and get people to take pictures." And North Korea's like, "Duh, that's what we do, jackass. That's kind of our thing, is we get people to take our picture and try to get people to feel bad for us and give us stuff." That's kind of their only play. Either that or we try to make nuclear missiles so that people will bow to our demands. So it's starting to get a little iffy whether we're going to actually get the summit between Trump and the North Korean leadership in June like we're supposed to get. So we'll have to wait and see. There have been unofficial threats to pull out of those talks. And boy, there goes Trump's Nobel Peace Prize that he was probably hoping he was going to get if they don't show up. Because, when I think peacemaker, I think Donald Trump. That's like the first word that pops into my head. This is the guy that brings people together and mends fences.
That's exactly what I think of.
Oh, absolutely. He's so articulate and calm and measured in his responses all the time. He just makes people want to act in a more reasoned and dignified way. Like
always thinking before he speaks, too,
Certainly. And I don't think he sends out tweets without having an editor look at them first.
Oh, no, not at all.
Very measured responses from Donald Trump, such as saying that MS-13 are animals. Now, look, I agree that MS-13 suck really bad and they're animals. There are a lot of members in that gang that are just evil human beings. There are some that are just going to get sucked into the life, like a lot of inner city gang members. Depending on where you live, you might get pulled into that kind of gang membership without really even meaning to at a very young age, just as like a survival mechanism. But a lot of people in MS-13 suck super, super bad. They're horrible, evil people, murderers, drug peddlers, that kind of thing. And that's who Trump was referring to when he said these people are animals. Yeah. But if you're Donald Trump, why, oh why, at this point, have you not figured out that the cameras are on 24 hours a damn day? You have made a living making deals and being publicly known. You're like this great communicator who built television shows and real estate empires and all that crap. Yeah. Why are you so bad at getting your point across on camera? Why
That's a good point.
You drop all these things that are so easy to misinterpret. Why? What the hell's the matter with you? You don't get to edit this stuff and put it out later.
Oh, yeah.
This is not
like our show.
Yeah. If I say something really dumb, I can just be like, whoa, cut that out. We're not airing that show.
Just not the alcohol. Just keep the alcohol in, like you told me to last time.
I've never done that before. I've never asked for anything to be cut out, but I could if I wanted to. Because there are no live cameras, there are no live feeds. For Donald Trump, everything's a live camera, everything's a live feed, and he still continues to step in it every day. I've been on live television for, if you stitch it all together, probably 15, 20 hours. Never said anything that stupid. Never. Now, I know he's done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, but he's the president, for God's sake. He's supposed to be better at it than I am. So, yeah, that's the lofty goal I'm setting for you, Donald Trump. Be better at communicating than the sweater dude. That's the goal I want you to have. By the end of 2018, I want you to be better at being on television than I am. This
I don't
should be
know.
a surpassable thing.
Might be hard.
Oh, he's so stupid. Like, even when he does stuff that I like the tax plan, I think actually can work. And I want to see how it goes, and I'll support it. But even when he does something like that, he's just so dumb about it. He's so bad at handling the media. Or maybe he really is playing four-dimensional chess with the media and making them react the way he wants to react. But no, I think he actually kind of sucks at this. Anyway, on to some more good news. The news gets better as we go.
Great.
10 dead kids in Texas, another school shooting. Oh my goodness. This brings the total number of dead kids in school shootings in 2018 to, I believe, over 30. That's horrible. That's horrifying.
Not good.
Now, look, you can put the numbers into perspective and you can say, like, well, statistically, you're about 500 times more likely to die on the way to school in a car than you are to get shot at school. And that's true. But that doesn't take bullets out of kids. You know, we're not talking about actuary tables here. We're talking about kids who get shot. It's horrible. So this was in Texas. Texas, where guns just roam wild across the plains like armadillo, and you can just pick one, keep it fresh. This kid was, and we're not going to say his name. We know the kid's name. We're not going to say it. It's not the whole cause of these things. Kids don't just do this to become famous. Murderers don't do this just to become famous. But there is a component. There is a component like, I'm going to get up there on the scoreboard. I'm going to get noticed, take myself out. So even if that's only like a small percentage of it, we're not going to feed that because that's disgusting. So do your best not to learn the shooter's name. I read it one time, and it's pretty hard to spell, so that'll make it easier to forget. But this kid was armed with his father's .38 pistol and a shotgun. Neither of them's an AR-15, which I'm sure the NRA is happy about. Like, oh, thank God, somebody got murdered with something that's not an AR-15. Well, those kids are just as dead. They got a black rifle. I've read some reports that the shotgun was illegally modified, that it was sawed off. And this kid was only 17. He swiped these guns from his dad. I'd like to see what kind of storage method his dad had to play. Like, how are you keeping these guns? Are they just like under your bed? They're just sitting in your closet? Or are they responsibly locked away like the guns in the Boone household? They're locked in a safe, which only my wife and I know the combination. I can still get at it in like less than 15 seconds. I can get them out of the safe and repel an intruder, God forbid. I don't think that's happening.
My dad has guns and I have no idea where they are. So
you shouldn't, like, unless you're the person who's trained to handle the guns and responsible for the guns, they should be secured away from you.
I don't have a license, so it's not my thing.
Well, gun ownership doesn't require licensure. In most states, all you have to have is a firearms owner identification card, or a FOID card. Like, I have one. I can't buy ammunition without it. And that's not a bad system because it helps with the national database. Like, if I go crazy or I get committed to a mental institution or I commit a felony or something, if they keep the database updated better, then when I go to scan my FOID card and say, I want 7,000 rounds of ammunition, they go to scan it and they're like, well, it says you can't buy it because you're crazy now. You know? Unfortunately, they don't do a very good job of keeping that database updated. That's something that we need to fix immediately. We can definitely have the debate about gun legislation. We've talked about this on the show many, many times. I'm in favor of more gun legislation as long as it's measured and will actually do some good. We've outlawed a whole lot of cosmetic features like foregrips and pistol grips and, telescoping stocks, things that don't really make a difference in the overall accuracy or deadliness of the guns, especially in close quarters situations like you'd have in the hallway of a school. Those don't really make the gun any safer. It's still, you still mow people down with it. Yeah. So I'd be in favor of taking a closer look at what we can do. But what we also have to look at, this kid did not have any of these guns in a legal fashion.
No.
Not his guns. They were his father's guns. He was illegally using them. And then, of course, he killed 10 people with them, which is also illegal. In addition to that, he had a bunch of IEDs. He had Molotov cocktails, which are questionably legal in most states. And he had pipe bombs, which are illegal in all 50 states. It's illegal to be in possession or manufacture bomb-making materials or bombs. Can't have any of that stuff. But he had them. So the laws that we have already could have stopped this kid. While we're arguing about new laws, that's fine. We can have that debate. But we absolutely have to plug the holes in the boat right now. We're designing a new ship. While we're out at sea with a big cannonball-sized hole in the boat, and we're sinking, we've got an architect drawing up plans for a new boat. Like, hey, let's maybe go plug the hole in the boat, and then we can paddle it back to shore and design a new boat. I'm not trying to say we can't have that argument. I know a lot of gun rights people are saying, like, no, we don't need more gun control ever. Well, maybe we do, but we got to plug the hole first. We got to stop the bleeding first. And we can do that with just a little bit more education and a little more resources for enforcement. Yeah. And we did have another school shooting here in Illinois narrowly get avoided by school security acting quickly and responsible. So thank goodness for that, because we could have been having this story play out all over again in a week. It's really terrifying stuff. I'm a very numbers-minded guy. Like, my mind works on, so I don't feel insecure about sending my son to school. Because I know the chances of him getting killed at school are quite literally less than 1 in a million. But that doesn't do anything for the parents of the kids who got shot.
Yeah.
Or the community. These aren't statistics, they're kids. So why can't we do something? Congress isn't going to do anything, especially with an election coming up. We just got to start with something. Education and enforcement take no legislative action at all. We just gotta do it. Just gotta buckle down and do it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge debater, but I think that people are the problem. It's not like we need to work on the people more than the guns, because it's the people who are choosing to do that. So
yeah, I mean, there are certain people that should not have access to firearms. There's a long list of them.
Yeah.
And we gotta start keeping that list updated and enforcing the rules. And it's just like anything else. I don't have all the answers, but we got to start doing something. We got to start steering in the right direction a little bit. And the right direction is not more endless debate about bump stocks and trigger cranks and AR-15s. It's enforcing the rules. You start enforcing the rules now, see how good that works, and then stop later. And if people are, I know there's lots of folks saying, well, we can just repeal the Second Amendment. No, you can't. You'll never get 3/4 of the states to agree to that. Never, ever. Not in my lifetime. I'd be shocked if you got the Second Amendment repealed. And if you did, there's still a matter of the 350 or so million, 350 million guns in the United States. They don't just disappear if you make them illegal. And the kinds of people who shoot up schools are not the kinds of people who voluntarily turn in guns.
Exactly.
There's not very much overlap in that Venn diagram of like murderers and people who are willing to give up their guns if they become illegal. So yeah, it's got to start somewhere. Anyway, let's move on to some news that is not terrible. I hesitate to say thoughts and prayers with those kids down in Texas, but seriously, thoughts and prayers with those kids in Texas.
Yeah.
Also, give blood to your local Red Cross. They are in need of blood, either in Texas or someplace else. They're in desperate need down in Santa Fe, Texas, of O negative if you got it. Go ahead and donate that. But anywhere else in the country, go ahead and donate blood. Summer is the slow months for blood donations, and it's also some of the higher usage rates. There's more people outdoors, there's more accidents, there's more travel. And they need blood. Give blood to the Red Cross. This episode not funded by the Red Cross.
Not funded by anyone, I don't think.
No, it is not.
Except your bad internet connection or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, last week was Pretend, brought to us by Charter Spectrum Internet. The week before that, I believe, was brought to us by Gold Bond Medicated Powder. It's like a breath mint for your dick.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's good stuff. When you get old, you'll understand. Some better news, net neutrality has passed the Senate. Oh my goodness. So the Senate is defying the FCC. and saying, you know what, we want net neutrality. We want the Obama era rules put back in place. We want internet companies, internet service providers to have to compete or be regulated like utilities. Well, they're not going to compete because there's not infrastructure for them to compete. If you live in my area, you can either have satellite internet, which is well known to be terrible.
Yeah.
You can't use it for online gaming. You can't use it for things like Skype because the ping rate is too high. It would be like I would talk, and then Jericho would talk, and then I would talk some more. That's what you get with satellite internet because you have to beam your voice all the way to outer space and then back down to the earth. And there's speed of light communications lag in that. Or you can go with Charter Spectrum here where I'm from, and boy, do I ever hate them because they drilled a hole in my house. We had lived in my house for less than 4 days. It had existed as a completed structure for less than 6, and they drilled a damn hole in my living room all the way to the outside world.
Oh, man.
So it's behind that couch back there. The hole is there. I covered it up. It's not still a hole. I'm not a savage. I'm still pretty mad, though.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of internet options where I live either. It's like Spectrum's pretty much it. So.
Even all the way out in northeastern Ohio, Spectrum can still eat a big bag of dicks.
Exactly.
So go ahead and get on that, Spectrum representatives. Get chomping on the big bag of dicks. Let's see. But net neutrality has passed the Senate. Now it's going to go on to the House to become enshrined in law, and it doesn't have as much hope in the House. But here's what you can do. You can find out who your representative is. My representative is Mike Bost. Mike Bost has said that he will not vote for net neutrality. So now I have said that I won't vote for Mike Bost. Fortunately for me, I have like a couple 100,000 people that I can instantly message on Twitter and say, hey, if you live in my district, don't you vote for Mike Bost either. And I will more than happily do that. In fact, I will be doing it quite a bit over the next few months unless he changes his mind. There are a few Republicans who cross the line in the Senate, and if your representative is a Republican, you're probably going to have to do some work on them. You're going to have to make some phone calls, send some letters, do something. Go to their office and hold a sign. Just sit outside and hold a sign that says they don't support net neutrality, and read a book or something while you're out there. It's hot and boring. But just do something. Get active. It's the only way you're going to change their mind. You make them think they won't get reelected, and they'll change their mind. I've met lots of politicians. I've never met a single one that wouldn't change their vote if their constituents really pressured them to.
Yeah.
And that's good, because that's what they're supposed to do. But we did have a few Republican senators cross the line and vote for this. They are now my favorite Republican senators.
Good.
Both of my senators are Democrats here in Illinois. Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin, they both voted for it. So thanks, senators, if you're watching. Senator Duckworth, I know you're watching. You're my favorite senator in the world. She's not watching. She's busy. She's got a baby, and she's a senator. But love her. But we also have Susan Collins from Maine. She's a Republican who voted for this. Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, who is quickly becoming one of the new faces of the Republican Party. She voted for this. And John Kennedy in Louisiana, not related to the Kennedy political family. This is a different guy named Kennedy. I love this guy, too. He's the one that refused to apologize for his Swahili comment. So there's a couple months ago when they were talking to Zuckerberg. John Kennedy asked, why is your end user license agreement so complicated? People don't know what they're signing. You should make it in English instead of Swahili. And people were like, you're racist, you piece of crap, saying Swahili. Do you want to apologize? And he's like, no, I don't want to apologize. People knew what I meant. You're like, yes. It's a common joke. Swahili is a difficult language to understand if you're not a native speaker or if you haven't taken classes on it. That was the joke. And he's like, no, I'm not apologizing. Yeah. Oh, no, I really respected that.
People need to stop getting offended at everything.
It's a joke.
Comedy.
If he'd have said, like, you need to quit putting it in dirty Mexican, well, now you got something. I don't want it in that Chinaman language. Now you got something. But Swahili is a real language, and it's very hard to understand because it is not related to any of the Romance languages or any of the Latin languages. So that was just the joke. Mark Zuckerberg does not understand humor because he has not been programmed to understand humor.
No, he hasn't.
Mark
He hasn't got the
Zuckerberg
update
is
yet.
like Commander Data's grandpa. He's somewhere down the line. One of Zuckerberg's grandchildren will be Commander Data, and he'll look just like him too. Thank you for the yummy water, human Congress. Num num num. Oh. But yeah, make it clear to your representatives that if they don't vote for net neutrality, you won't vote for them. Be a single issue voter on this. People do it for guns, they do it for abortion, they do it for other stuff. Well, I like my guns, I like my gun rights. I'm not a big fan of abortion, although I don't think we should legislate against it. But what I really, really like is the internet. I use it every day.
Exactly.
Without the internet, I wouldn't have the job that I have because I wouldn't have been able to apply for it. I wouldn't be able to do research. My son wouldn't be able to do the research he needs for school. He wouldn't be able to connect with his friends. I wouldn't be able to be talking to you right now. I never would have gotten famous and got to travel all over the country if it hadn't been for the internet. I was almost entirely internet based as like a pop-up flash in the pan celebrity. We need the internet. It is a utility. Yeah. It is as important to everyday life as electricity was when it started getting introduced around the country. It is a life-changing thing, and it's necessary to live a modern life, to have internet access. And if you don't have internet access, you're at a tremendous disadvantage in today's economy. There's just no two ways about it. Generationally impoverished people are the ones that are most likely to not have internet access, and it's one of the largest factors in keeping them generationally impoverished. Because without the internet, you don't have access to the same quality of information and education and communication that the rest of us do. And it's, in a modern society, it's almost like, in a few generations, it'll be treated like a human right. Like electricity and the internet, within 3 or 4 generations, they'll be treated like food, water, and shelter. Like everybody has a right to those. We're not quite there yet, but it's getting close. And everybody needs to have fair access to this. So, yeah, do your part. Get out there. Go to battleforthenet.com. You can find out from there easily who your representative is. If you don't have time to write your own letters or make your own phone calls, they have a very easy script for you to follow. You can leave a message, or you can send in a form letter with your signature on it for the low cost of the 43 cents or whatever it costs for a stamp. And if your representative starts getting piles of these things, they'll catch on. They'll start to understand. Okay, let's see. Moving on from American news, we got here in Chilean news. Every single bishop in the Catholic Church in Chile has offered his resignation to the Pope. The reason for this is because they don't like the way that the priest sexual abuse scandal has been handled. So there was a priest down in Chile who was abusing kids several years ago. And one of the other priests that he was good friends with, and he was kind of their mentor, became a bishop. So not the guy who did the abusing, but his friend and the guy that he had helped out in his career became a bishop. Well, then that guy used his power as a bishop to kind of shield the abuser from consequence. The guy never faced any criminal because he was moved around enough times. The law never. The other bishops found out about this. What God or people of the cloth are supposed to do. They should not doing anything about it. And so they all said, fine, we quit. Now, to be fair, the guy that actually did this, the guy that did the shielding of the abuser, said, you know what, I'll quit. I'll resign. You're right. I shouldn't have been a bishop. But then the Pope doubled down and said, no, you can't quit. I don't want you to resign. You got to stay at your post. And when you offer your resignation as a bishop, His Holiness has the option of saying, no, I don't accept your resignation. You got to stay. And unless you want to be in defiance of the church and risk possible excommunication, you have to stay then. You have to follow the orders of your Pope.
Wow.
So now it's kind of in question whether all of these bishops, their resignations might not be accepted.
Wow.
They might just have to stay. But it's a really important thing that they at least offered to resign. It's a very serious thing. This is the first time in church history, 2,000 years of the Catholic Church. This is the first time in history that an entire country's worth of bishops have all resigned at once over the same issue. It's never happened before.
Wow.
And they're taking a stand. They said, look, Your Holiness, we love you, we respect you, but you have to do better. Kids got hurt by the Catholic Church. Kids got damaged by the church. And we need to make it right with them. And making it right starts with not protecting their abusers anymore. Exactly. So we really hope something comes of this. It's not like the Pope had anything to do with the scandal at the time. He never abused any kids. But he's been a big-time church official for a long time. And him not showing willingness to do something about it almost makes him complicit. So I really hope this kind of forces his hand. That whole scandal was so poorly handled. We could have been, there's an institution that exists to help people, to help kids, and some small percentage of you were hurting kids, and now your leadership doesn't want to do anything about it. Well, the people of Chile, or the church community of Chile, has stood up and said, well, we're going to do something about it. So applause to all of those gentlemen that are actually trying to help these kids, and that starts with admission of guilt. I'm tired of talking about depressing crap. Oh man, dead kids, sexually abused kids, gang members, North Korea, Palestinians getting shot. Yeah, I think we've covered all the actual news. Let's move on to things that aren't terrible. We'll move on to the number one most divisive issue in the nation right now, and that is Yanni or Laurel. Yanni or Laurel. To me, it is Laurel because I have hearing damage. So the whole thing is kind of smoke and mirrors. When the word was originally recorded, it was supposed to be Laurel. If you have very good high-frequency hearing, or if you're playing this out of a set of speakers that have better high-frequency response than low-frequency response, you can probably hear Yanni. If I turn the treble all the way up, I can hear Yanni. But at normal settings, I can only hear Laurel. But my wife, who has hearing to me, Yanni. So, yeah. You several hundred people who have asked me about that on Twitter and Reddit and various other media outlets, you can stop asking me now, for God's sake. I heard Laurel. But of course, like everything else, we had to make it political. Somebody in the White House thought, like, hey, it'd be fun. We'll go around to all these cabinet members and take up a minute of their time and say, like, hey, did you hear Yanni or Laurel? Then they go and they ask everybody. They ask Kellyanne Conway. They ask John Bolton. They ask everybody in the cabinet. And then finally they ask President Trump, and he says, I only hear Covfefe. I thought it was pretty funny. For a guy who is famously arrogant and refuses to ever joke about himself or accept criticism of any kind, to bring up the whole Covfefe stupidness on purpose and kind of like take a shot at himself, I thought it was pretty funny. Of course, it invited nothing but hate from on the YouTube comments of this video. Like, man, you should be helping the country better. You should be doing leadership stuff instead of doing this. Okay, well, even the president has to like go pee and like leave the Oval Office for a minute at a time. It's okay for them to make like a joke video that takes 1 minute out of his time between meetings. Just like when conservatives used to really cry about Obama going on with Letterman and Jay Leno and all those shows, and what you did very regularly, they'd be like, well, don't you have business to do taking care of the country? Well, yeah, but talking to the people is part of that.
Yeah.
It's okay for the president to be human and have fun once in a while. And it's a positive thing that he was able to show a little bit of humanity and criticize himself. And also, it's just a dumb 2-minute video. Settle down, everybody. Oh, my God. I know all the cool kids hate Donald Trump, and you got plenty of reason to because he does lots of dumb stuff. But don't delegitimize your message by whining about it when he just does something fun or goofy.
Yeah. Laugh with him for once.
Yeah. Or just ignore him. Just turn it off. That's what I always say to people who are like, oh, your 15 minutes of fame are up. No, they're not. Thanks to you paying attention to me.
Exactly.
Everybody who says that to me just feeds me. Myself or anybody else in entertainment, from super low-level people like me all the way up to the top. If you don't pay attention to us, we go away. It's like the boogeyman. You know, I know we only have a few hundred viewers here to the Ken Bone Zone. If we had zero, I wouldn't make it anymore. I'd just call Josh on the phone and we'd talk for an hour every week instead of, you know, doing the show and having Jericho edit it for us. We would just talk. But since there are at least some people that want to pay attention to it, we keep making it. If you don't like it, don't pay attention to it.
And I have something to do.
It could not be simpler. Oh. And our last story today, definitely look this guy up. His name's Sidney Portley. He's 25. He posed as a high school student in Dallas at 2 different high schools for 9 months. I don't know how he managed to stay in both high schools for 9 months, but he did it so he could be on the basketball team. So I guess as a 25-year-old, it feels real good to go and smoke a bunch of 16-year-olds on the court. Because this dude he's a grown man, and he's a good basketball player. But if you look at a picture of him, he is obviously not a high school kid. You know, he looks like he's 30. He's 25, and he looks like he's 30.
How did he do that?
Well, the way he went about it is down in Texas, if you're a Hurricane Harvey refugee, they've said, like, you can come and enroll in our school if you're a refugee to our city, and we understand that you don't have proof of residency and you don't have records because it was all destroyed in the hurricane. So he looked at this and he's like, oh, I don't need paperwork? Well, let me just go and join this school so I can be on their basketball team. And so he's out there playing Teen Wolf, beating the horse shit out of a bunch of high school kids. Now, I haven't seen his numbers or anything, but I hope in my heart that he was like a second stringer and he sucked, because that would make the story so much more interesting.
Oh, yeah, I hope some kids beat him. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, for him to just get trashed by the JV team, that would be the ultimate outcome of this story. Eventually got caught by his old basketball coach, his actual basketball coach, saw him and recognized him and was like, how the hell are you playing on a high school team? You graduated 8 years ago. And he's like, whoops. So he's caught. He's done.
That's great. The irony of that.
It was fantastic. It was the most ridiculous story I could find in the week, and holy crap, did I ever have fun reading about it. Look him up. Check out the picture for yourselves. His name's Sidney Portley.
I can put it on screen.
Oh, it's a beautiful story. It's a human triumph. It's like Air Bud, only with an old man playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Well, fortunately for us, that's it for the news. We don't have to hear any more terrifying news about
Yay.
or Congress doing anything. We get to binge with fun for a while. Really appreciate everybody listening. Special hello to my good friend Josh Burkett. See, we're out of show notes. All done for the week. But thanks very much to Jericho for being our guest co-host. Did a fantastic job.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Come back anytime. We would love to have you. But for now, for Jericho, for Josh, and for myself, I'm Ken Bone, and I approve this sweater.
Bye.